Imagine waking up and your savings can't even buy breakfast. It's not a nightmare, it's history repeating. Rome, Weimar, Argentina. Each empire thought their currency was different until it wasn't. Today, the same whispers run through the dollar: debt, dilution, denial. The question isn't if it collapses, it's who notices first. Empires don't fall when armies invade, they fall when their money dies. And when money dies, everything built on it collapses. Confidence, trade, armies, governments. It doesn't matter how advanced the society or how powerful its military. Every empire believes it's different until its currency says otherwise. Let's go back 2,000 years. The empire that defined civilization itself. Rome. At its height, Rome stretched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. 60 million citizens, the world's largest army. Its roads, aqueducts, and cities were centuries ahead of their time. And behind all of it, a single coin, the denarius, pure silver, recognized across continents, a symbol of trust. When a Roman soldier got his pay, he didn't question it. He knew that small silver coin could buy bread, pay rent, and feed a family. That trust was the foundation of the empire itself. But empires have one fatal habit. They grow addicted to power they can't afford. Every new conquest required more soldiers, more weapons, more money. And instead of taxing more or spending less, Rome did what every empire does. It changed the meaning of money itself. Emperor Nero was the first to take the shortcut. To fund his lifestyle and endless wars, he reduced the silver in each coin from 100% to 90%. It didn't sound like much, but it meant Rome could mint more coins without more silver, more money, same resources. Inflation was born. By the time of Caracalla, the denarius was half silver. By Gallienus, it was just 5%. A silver coin now made of worthless metal with a shiny coating. The illusion of value, printed on tin. Prices exploded. A loaf of bread that once cost 1 denarius now cost 50. Soldiers refused to fight unless paid in gold or goods. Farmers stopped selling food for coins that meant nothing. Taxes collapsed, and the Roman government, it blamed hoarders. But it wasn't greed that broke Rome. It was arithmetic. You can't fund infinite expansion with debased money, and you can't debase money without destroying trust. By the time the Goths sacked Rome in 410 AD, the empire had already fallen from within. Not because its enemies were stronger, but because its currency was dead. And when the denarius died, Rome died with it. The pattern was written. The first empire to fall by inflation, but not the last. Now fast forward 1,200 years. A new empire rises, Spain. Gold, silver, power. The Spanish Empire controlled more wealth than any nation in history. From the Americas to Asia, their ships brought back treasure that could fund 1,000 kingdoms. In 1545, Spanish explorers discovered Potosí in modern-day Bolivia, the largest silver mine ever found. Half of the world's silver would flow from that mountain for the next century. And Spain flooded the world with it. Coins, trade, prestige. The Spanish Real de Ocho, the piece of 8, became the first global currency, the dollar before the dollar. Everyone trusted it because it was pure silver. But Spain didn't learn from Rome's warning. When money feels infinite, spending follows. Wars with the Ottomans, the Armada against England, lavish palaces and luxuries imported from France and Italy. Spain consumed wealth faster than it could count it. The silver kept flowing until it wasn't worth silver anymore. Too much of a good thing kills value. With ships dumping tons of silver into Europe, prices soared tenfold. Inflation ripped through the continent. The same coin bought less every year, and Spain's kings, drowning in debt, borrowed more. Wars had to be funded, soldiers paid, prestige maintained. When King Philip II couldn't pay, he defaulted. Not once, 4 times in 40 years. Despite controlling half the world's silver, Spain went bankrupt repeatedly. Each time, lenders demanded higher interest. Each time, trust in Spanish money collapsed. The government tried to fix it the Roman way. They issued copper coins called vellon, pretending they were worth silver. No one bought it. The currency died. So did the empire. By 1700, Spain's empire was gone. not because its enemies defeated it, but because it couldn't afford to exist anymore. Inflation, debt, currency collapse, the same pattern as Rome. And here's the first truth of empire. No amount of gold can save a nation that spends more than it earns. Then came Britain, the empire on which the sun never set, a quarter of the world under its flag. And behind it, the pound sterling. For 2 centuries, the pound was the world's reserve currency. It was backed by gold, trusted globally. Every contract, every shipment, every trade, measured in pounds, and Britain seemed unstoppable. But behind the grandeur, the debt grew. Wars are expensive. Napoleon, Crimea, World War I. Each one drained the treasury and forced the printing press. In 1914, Britain suspended the gold standard temporarily to fund the war. Translation: the pound was no longer tied to gold. The government printed as much as it needed. Sound familiar? By 1919, Britain's national debt was 10 times higher than 5 years earlier. The economy was wrecked, but the empire survived, barely. In 1925, Winston Churchill made the fatal mistake. He returned to the gold standard at the pre-war rate, pretending nothing had changed. But everything had. The pound was overvalued, exports collapsed, unemployment soared. By 1931, Britain abandoned gold again, this time forever. The pound was no longer as good as gold. It was just paper, and paper burns. After World War II, Britain was ruined. Its debt reached 270% of GDP, the highest in history. In 1949, the pound was devalued by 30%. In 1967, another 14%. By the 1970s, inflation hit 25%. Britain had to beg the IMF for a bailout. The empire that ruled a quarter of the planet lost everything in 30 years, not from invasion, not from revolution, but from its own currency collapse. Rome fell when the denarius died. Spain fell when silver lost value. Britain fell when the pound lost credibility. Different empires, same pattern. And now, the Fourth Empire faces the same fate. The United States, the dollar, the modern denarius. After World War II, the world adopted a new financial order. The Bretton Woods system made the US dollar the global reserve currency. Every other currency pegged itself to the dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold, $35 an ounce, as good as gold, literally. But like every empire before it, America started believing its own myth, that it could spend infinitely and never pay the price. Vietnam, the Great Society, military bases in 70 countries, debt climbed, and the world noticed. By the 1960s, foreign nations began demanding gold in exchange for dollars. France, under Charles de Gaulle, led the charge. US gold reserves started vanishing. The math didn't add up. And in 1971, Richard Nixon made the announcement that changed the world. The gold window was closed. No more convertibility. The dollar became fiat, backed by nothing but faith. The same step Rome, Spain, and Britain took before their fall. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Trade continued. America grew richer. But something fundamental had shifted. Money was now debt, and debt was limitless. Once the dollar was freed from gold, the US gained what no empire ever had before: the power to print the world's reserve currency, unlimited credit, unlimited spending. The petrodollar system locked it in. Oil, the lifeblood of the modern world, would be priced in US dollars. If you wanted energy, you needed dollars. That meant every country had to hold them. Demand was guaranteed. The illusion of strength was complete. But illusions don't last forever. Debt does. In 1980, the US national debt was $900 billion. By 2000, $5.6 trillion. By 2020, $27 trillion. And by 2025, over $36 trillion, a 40-fold increase in less than half a century. Rome minted fake silver. Spain flooded the world with metal. Britain printed pounds. America prints promises. The Federal Reserve calls it quantitative easing. Economists call it stimulus. History calls it currency debasement. Since 2008, the Fed has created more dollars than in the entire 20th century combined. Trillions out of thin air. To bail out banks, fund deficits, and manipulate markets. And every time the printing press roars to life, the same lie follows. This time it's different. It's never different. Inflation is the most polite form of theft ever invented. It robs slowly, invisibly, until one day you wake up and your savings buy nothing. It happened in Rome, it happened in Spain, it happened in Britain, and it's happening again. The dollar's dominance is fading. In 2000, 72% of global foreign reserves were held in dollars. Today, it's 58% and falling fast. Countries once loyal to the dollar are moving away. China and Russia are trading in their own currencies. The BRICS alliance is building alternatives. Central banks are buying gold at record levels, the same way Rome RSS citizens once demanded real metal over fake coins. Confidence, the last pillar of any currency, is cracking. And once it breaks, it never returns. America's spending is unsustainable. The empire maintains 800 military bases worldwide. Defense spending exceeds $800 billion a year. Add social programs, interest payments, and entitlements, and you have a system bleeding over $1 trillion in deficit annually. That's not stability, that's slow suicide. Every empire follows the same 7 stages. Stage 1, dominance. The empire rises backed by real value. Stage 2, overextension. Military reach spreads too far. Stage 3, debt. They spend more than they earn. Stage 4, currency debasement. They print to fill the gap. Stage 5, inflation. Prices surge, confidence erodes. Stage 6, loss of trust. Citizens and nations abandon the currency. Stage 7, collapse. Rome completed all 7. So did Spain. So did Britain. And now, the United States stands between stages 5 and 6. Here's what makes it worse. The dollar isn't just America's currency, it's the world's. When it falls, the shockwave hits every country, every market, every family. It won't be one empire collapsing. It'll be the first global empire to drag the entire world down with it. That's why this isn't just histories, it's prophecy. In 2020, during the pandemic, the Federal Reserve printed $4 trillion in under 24 months. More money created than in the previous 100 years combined. And politicians celebrated it as relief. But relief always has a bill. Inflation spiked, food prices doubled, rent exploded, and wages lagged behind. The official numbers say 9%. The real numbers, the ones you feel in your wallet, are far higher. The government blamed supply chains, then greedy corporations, then foreign wars. But the truth is simpler. They printed it, and now you're paying for it. Rome called it debasement, Spain called it discovery, Britain called it defense, America calls it quantitative easing. Different names, same pattern. Every empire thinks it's smarter than the ones before it. Every generation believes technology, politics, or innovation can defy math. They all forget that money is trust, not ink. And once that trust dies, no law or army can revive it. What happens next? History offers 3 outcomes. Scenario 1, controlled decline. The empire loses dominance slowly. The currency falls, inflation lingers, the nation becomes a shadow of itself. Like Britain after 1945, still existing but irrelevant. Scenario 2, chaotic collapse. The system breaks overnight. Confidence vanishes. Hyperinflation erupts. Chaos spreads. Rome, Weimar, Argentina. People barter food for gold, then for survival. Scenario 3, reset and replacement. A new order rises. The dollar is replaced by a digital or multi-currency system, maybe China's yuan or a global reserve basket, or something backed by commodities again. Painful transition, but survivable. The pattern never ends. It only resets. So where does that leave us? In 2025, America stands exactly where history says every empire stands before collapse. Massive debt, runaway spending, a currency backed by nothing but confidence, and that confidence fading fast. You can deny it, you can delay it, but you can't defy it. When money dies, everything dies with it. Trade, credit, armies, hope. The collapse doesn't start with explosions. It starts with excuses. Remember this. No empire has ever survived its currency collapse. Not one. And every leader who caused it had the same last words. It's different this time. It never is. If you've made it this far, you already know history doesn't predict the future. It warns it. and right now the warning couldn't be louder. The same pattern that destroyed Rome, Spain, and Britain is now etched into the fabric of the US dollar. Debt, printing, denial, decline. 4 words, one destiny. Follow the hidden ledger to uncover how this pattern continues, who profits, who pays, and what happens when the last empire runs out of credit. Because history doesn't just repeat, it compounds interest.